Turn the mic up, let the whole town know. Truth hits hard when the headlines go. From the courthouse steps to the waterline, we follow the paper and expose the signs. Burning bridges, lighting up the night, toxic water, but we still stand and fight. Local, state, and the national map. Say her name loud. Nicole in all caps. Raw and unfiltered, reality uncut. Digging through the stories they tried to shut up. Speaking truth, demanding facts. Once the fire stops, there's no turning back. Nicole in all caps. Live every Thursday night. Nicole in all caps. Bringing every issue to light. Town know. Truth hits hard when the headlines go. From the courthouse steps to the waterline, we follow the paper and expose the signs. Burning bridges, lighting up the night, toxic water, but we still stand and fight. Local, state, and the national map. Say her name loud. Nicole in all caps. Raw and unfiltered, reality uncut. Digging through the stories they tried to shut up. Speaking truth, demanding facts. Once the fire stops, there's no turning back. Nicole in all caps. Live every Thursday night. Nicole in all caps. Bringing every issue to light.
Okay. It's the moment you've been waiting for. I know. I was going to let it go a couple more minutes, see if anybody else came on. And no. So it's all right. I know we start losing people because they don't really know what's going on. And I just decided to jump on real quick because we got a lot of stuff to cover tonight. Initially, I was supposed to have Bree come on because this is her only day off. And she is... currently busy. Hello, Tracy Trace. Hello, howdy, 6 puppies. So Bree wasn't able to come on tonight, so we're gonna hold off on the water portion of what we were gonna talk about until she can be on. Maybe she'll jump on here before the end of tonight's stream. Not sure how that's gonna play out. So, she's got 2 kids and she's gonna make dinner for them. So, can't be too demanding of her. And then Jamie Lynn had a scheduling issue for today, and I know that initially at the beginning of the week I said all of us were going to be on here. So for those that don't know, though, I'm Nicole in all caps, and I'll be your host for tonight's podcast. And I don't know how many people that are on or tuning in have been paying attention to what's been going on with the Madison County politics surrounding yours truly and Catherine V. Callahan, but we've had a bunch of interesting turn of events, and now I got removed from being an Indiana delegate back in June. I still say it's frivolous. I filed 11 lawsuits. Those are going to be coming up on August 30th, so you don't want to miss that. And basically all the judges recused themselves. So I'm going to give you a rundown, and then I'm going to start jumping around here and try to show you some stuff. And I wanted to do a live react to today's election board hearing about me. It was a complaint Mikkel filed on me as retaliation. But anyway, we'll get to that. So, man, I got squirreled. There's so much to tell you guys. That's why, you know what? I am looking for, co-hosts and special guests to come on each week to help keep me focused. I have topics that I want to discuss. It really helped when Catherine or somebody else can get on here with me I have my regulars that sign in, and I do, for the most part, get to watch the comment thread. And sometimes, like, Six Puppies will remind me I got my mic on mute. And I think I had my mic on mute either the tail end of last week's podcast or Saturday's podcast. But either way, it helps to have somebody come on. So eventually there will be other people to help with the monotony of whatever we're doing here on the show. So, okay, where do I start? So, July 7th. So on July 7th, something miraculous happened. Instead of getting all my defamation cases dismissed in a roundabout way, I got a special judge named, and there's going to be the conference is on 8:30. Well, the same day, Mikhail Vaughn decided he was going to go and file an election complaint hearing against me for 2 signs that were placed by a volunteer on the day before. Now, I have a lot of footage, and I stayed quiet today. So today was the hearing, and I've been really nervous leading up to this because I don't understand how we have laws and rules and codes, but Nicole and Catherine seem to be the only ones that it gets forced upon or enforced on. So at least in Madison County. So we have I'm starting to have a little problem with that. So anyway, tonight I talked to Bree and Jamie about coming on. So I'm going to stick with the topic of the election board and what's been going on with the Mikhail Vaughn saga and the pulpit politics in prison. Because believe it or not, the comment that got me in trouble, and I didn't get the second complaint that was filed on the 7th until Monday. So I've had a hard time all week about the second complaint in regards to what I would consider a predator on a church pew. Maybe not to the extent of what Steve Sumner or the David Greenwell of Madison County. He got like 10-year sentence on his, and he was also a pastor in a pulpit. Another story for another day. But I've been doing activism with certain topics since around 2011, 2012, and one of my first topics a lot of people don't know about was trying to help get the window closed from when a pedophile has to register as a sex offender or a rapist before they leave the jail. Because before it was, they had like a 72-hour window, and a lot of us survivors and parents we can't stand to think of the thought that somebody doesn't have to register and they can get away. People can look what happened with Steve Sumner, perfect example. Right before he was supposed to show up for his final hearing, he jolted, and he didn't just like run. We don't really know everything that he did. We may never really know all the things that he did while he was on the run. But we do know that he left behind his children and his wife to be on the land for 2.5 years on the run with another woman. Hey, Thomas. So that we do know. And then last week he got in trouble for I guess he didn't get in trouble because he's been in trouble for a couple months. He pled guilty last week, and so I think I touched base on last week's podcast, and I said that a lot of people are going to have to eat poo pie for the way they treated Jamie Lynn and his children and the victims other families, extended families. I mean, it's been traumatic for everybody involved. So anyway, the complaint that I got on Monday actually connects back to the Steve Sumner's victim's birth mother. Okay, without naming any names because I'm not allowed to yet. Right now, I did talk to the council. I did talk to Madison County Election Board on Tuesday, and I sent them an email that said, please don't make me tell the victim's name, and please don't make me or force me to mention, it's like Lord Voldemort from Harry Potter. Please don't make me mention the guy's name because I don't want to have to deal with all that and that, right? I made a comment in a video that the church and several other people didn't like. Not my fault. It's not, I wasn't lying. I can prove that I wasn't lying. It's just, I don't want to mention it in a public space because the victim is now an adult. I'm related to one of them, and well, several people connected to the one I was referencing that day. And they work at the courthouse. So I didn't want to oust them like that. I didn't feel like it was the county election board's place to oust the story either. So I did get back word that they weren't going to mention the name. And I also, which was funny, my attorney, Lorene White, which you'll see here in a little bit, she stood up for me today and she brought up some good points. She did a great job. I didn't watch because I was so nervous. I wanted to throw up and all kinds of stuff today. It was crazy. But she did a great job. And yeah, so I didn't watch it. So we'll get to that. And then I squirreled again because I got so much stuff to cover. So if you weren't around and you're just tuning in to what I'm talking about with the May primary, you can go to my Reels section. So this is pre-mouthwash. The other election board hearing, there's some clips in here, and I don't want to play these because they start talking about my messenger and what I put to David Albee, and I did say that something about they had pedophiles in their pews, and the least of their worries is my campaign signs in the yard. They didn't like that, I guess, so that's what got me in trouble. And I'll show you that report if I can here in a few minutes. So a bunch of great videos there. And then I started releasing never before seen footage that I found when I was trying to defend myself this week. And I can go through these here in a minute. Let me see. Thinking I need to go to a YouTube channel. I'm gonna have to go to my Two Chicks YouTube channel for a second because some things we had started switching over platforms, and my HeadzUP platform is pretty full, but things with me and Catherine specifically, I wanted to house on a different channel. So there's that. So let's go over here, and I can find it better when I just do my dashboard. You can go on either one of my channels because I'm on Mouthwash. I joined teams with them like 4 episodes ago. And then I got my normal stuff plus my page and HeadzUP and then the Two Chicks. Okay. Your videos. I probably could have found it the other way too, but I just know this one like the back of my hand. So there's been a lot of talk about this. So I don't know if you guys know what a shoot is. Now I'm on a different page, so let's get to here. So I don't know if you know what a shoot is. I don't know if you've been following along with any of our stuff that we talk about. I know there's a few people I can see are my regulars, and there's a couple new names that I'm not familiar with. So you can go back and check some of my stories, and I got great footage from all kinds of stuff. And I'm going to have to leave the Madison County Election Board alone. Tim Lannon, I'm going to have to be nice now because he stood up for me today. And then Miss Linda Smith, the county clerk, was nice to me too, supposedly. So we'll get into that by the end because I got a little while still. So we'll end with that. But if you know the long-standing, I was still mad at him over the Kenneth Hodson ordeal from when he tried to sue me and then ran for office. And when the complaint got in front of the board, I feel like they violated me. And then, of course, I have a long-standing aunt with Russ Willis. So as I go into this, I'm trying to think of what I want to start with. I probably need to kind of do This is an hour-long video, but I'm not going to do the whole video. I'm going to skip through parts just so you can see. Some of these videos, just to be honest, they don't exist anymore because of a new rule on Facebook. So when Miss Rebecca Crooms, you'll hear Political Spotlight. Christopher Bilbrey talks about us a lot. Catherine, you've seen on her show. Miss Crooms and I and Catherine have tag teamed a lot on a lot of these videos. So I knew that we only had like a small window to be able to get this stuff before it gets deleted. And I'm trying, okay, that's why I can't. I was trying to get this side screen off, but because of the way that it was recorded, it's probably not going to come off my screen. So anyway, there is a long video though, and it's an hour-long video showing multiple things that happened. So on that Friday, before we even started the early satellite voting on 425, I had been out helping Catherine deliver signs. Okay, so I mean, it takes a lot of work to be able to put signs all over county. You know, I don't care. Well, except for maybe Steuben and like I heard up there, they only got about 16 or 17 precincts. I'm not sure how big they are, but I was talking to one of their candidates up north, and she was telling me some stories. And like I think the one right next to them, maybe Lafayette County, whatever's next to Steuben. They only have like 16 precincts. So I was like, wow, it'd only take you about 9 to be able to take back that county. And I think she said 30 in Steuben, maybe more. And then in Madison County, we have 112 precincts. So if you want to take over Madison County, you got to hit more than 60 precinct committeemen to flip the county. So I'm not going to be able to do it for a while because they've labeled me in bad standing. But for Catherine, well, she was in bad standing too when she ran, but we still put our signs out everywhere. So anyway, I had to go all over the county trying to put signs out for her. And this is the first like 4 minutes of this video is me just running around because I was excited that it was my first real campaign where I got to run. Okay, I'm gonna take myself off here. And what you're about to see is I was on my way back home. So just context of this moment. I was on my way back home. It's almost 10 p.m. at night, and we had 2 sets. Well, we had several. I'm not even sure how many volunteers were out by this point because we started realizing we couldn't cover all the ground, you know, like one person at a time. And then Catherine had other things, you know, she does work a full-time job too, but we did a great job getting them out. And she did a lot of on-the-ground stuff too. But at this point, this was one of my locations, and I had to come and set signs up and make sure our signs were there. And then one of my volunteers and so my husband Aaron was out there helping us set these up, and he was my driver. So this is me us coming to the poll, and I'm just gonna play it.
But it just went off. I have a song too. You can find it on my Reels section. So first,
but note, there are 3 signs in this planner. And the other angle that I was on, there's no markings showing where this shoot started and stopped, right? I have no idea because this is my first campaign where I was in charge of making sure that, you know, things were put out.
campaign, first election, I think it's going pretty good.
So what you can't see right in that moment, I kind of panned it up on the door. So I have a Google Drive with a picture in it. I haven't put it online yet. Let's see if I can get it pulled up. Did I? Okay. I might shut it off because I was trying to free up some of my spots. So there's a picture And it's a really quick blip. Okay, got it. Let's load. Now, of course, some of this didn't even make it into the complaint today that she was reading off. But right here in that picture, you can see there's no sign on this door. This right here is a glare on the door from the light, the pole. And just to make a long story short, Tim Lannon does, and they do admit that they did not mark the chute. Okay, part of the Madison County election rules on how they're supposed to do things. They're supposed to mark it, and I think they should have marked it for the satellite locations the night prior, because like this right here, that it would have avoided a lot of tensions that we've been having for several months now. So to me, it's not properly marked. You can, that footage that I just showed you, the minute marker is 4 minutes and 45 seconds where I glance, and you can pause and take photos. But to me, there's no signs on the doors. These are 2 signs. They're not both my signs. One sign's mine, one sign's Catherine's, but they didn't file a complaint against Catherine. Okay, there is, let me see, can I? Like I said, I haven't put these online yet, but if you go to the Google Maps, you can look overhead and see that there's a light pole in the parking lot right in front of the chute. And this right here is where the awning would have been, and the chute made it all the way to the tip of the grass. It's kind of a weird chute. So ultimately it was, you know, we got the information. We were told where it was at. Fast forward. You can see there, that's 5:37. You can see there's no sign on the door, so it's not like anybody did it on purpose. And then the following day, is this me? Uh-oh, that might have been when I had to come pick up. Oh, okay. Let's see, this is Catherine.
The girls 2026 election.
I'm up here at Crossroads Global Methodist Church, where voting on the weekends has begun. This is a vote center for those of you who do not know or want to vote on the weekend. This is where I'm at. Payless is right over there. This is the intersection of State Road 9 and Cross Street or 200. And you will see what a great job Nicole has done decorating to make sure everybody driving by knows that this is a vote center. So, for as far as you can see, we have lots of signs going on here. The great patriotism by Nicole for serving our country. She's got her signs up as well, so it is a great thing. So there's lots of things to talk about as I'm up here and I'm looking at the voters and I'm watching the candidates. I want to bring to your attention. So here comes Nicole. She went to the restroom. Not sure why she doesn't have any gear on, but she doesn't.
I had gear on. Okay. It was a Made in America shirt. It wasn't a actual campaign t-shirt because I didn't buy any. I don't know how much money the other candidates spent, but I didn't really think I was going to win anything. So winning the Indiana delegate race was a bonus. So I wasn't really trying to win. So I had a funny shirt on.
This gear on.
American made.
Right? So that America made, listen, Kansas made. So anyways, as you come out here, I just want people to know, come out here and vote. Nicole's been out here since 9 o'clock. But I want to bring some interesting things to everybody as we walk up here and we see what's going on. So again, we've got signs everywhere, but signs don't vote, right? So let's take a peek here. Let me turn this around. So we've got these signs out here. You can see all the different signs that are out here. Clearly, you can see who paid for our signs. We're not making them too small. You got signs out here that mislead the people. You got the clerk who is sending out mail to Shelby County, which to people to vote. So her signs clearly. So be careful what you see on signs because they may not be true.
I can't.
And then you've got the Culp, which they kind of got the message because they were repeating stuff, but that's been paid for.
It was on mute. I caught it. On this one right here, if you really look at this and some of the other pictures we got from these signs, it also has, you can see that these were Jennifer Culp sign. There's a little white strip here in the middle that we noticed later on in the day. I can kind of see it right here because I know what I'm looking at. But I didn't realize until later, after everything had already happened, that Jennifer Culp was running for Indiana delegate against me. And I actually got more votes than she did. So it was kind of interesting how it all played out.
So I want to bring attention to everybody. If you remember this church when it was a polling center last year, or no, in 24. Remember when I was standing right here where they're standing right now? That's where Christy Grabowski's standing, Mikhail Vonsall standing. Remember when Russ Willis came out and he did this huge measuring tape to make this huge chaos about this because Rick Gardner had called him? And technically the 50 feet chute mark is out here in the middle of the road that you have to be at. So I just want everybody to understand that we seem to have different rules for Catherine, but we don't have the same rules for everybody else. Again, you're supposed to be 50 feet from the chute. I just bring it up because Russ came out here and made a huge spectacle. I don't blame these guys because technically what they should be doing from the committee is they should be marking this with tape so the candidates know exactly where the chute is. Now, it could be argued that the chute is technically inside the doors and that gains you more space, but Russ wanted to say it started right there at the doors and came out, which is not technically true. So I just want everybody to be able to see what's going on. I want Geringer's perfectly not in the 50 chute mark. So he's out here, he's doing his thing. Kim Steigel, she's out here doing her thing. So it's interesting to watch how everything applies. If you want to come out and you want to sign Geringer's ballot so that he can be on the ballot for the fall, please feel free to do that.
So he wound up getting on the ballot for the fall. He's running independent as a county commissioner for District 1. So I like Mike. Okay, I do. I like him. I'm already in trouble. They've already got me labeled as a Republican in bad standing, and I don't find it fair. I probably won't be able to fix it for a little while. So it is what it is. But I like Mike, so vote for Mike. Let's go over here. So the other issue was a couple things happened. So the same day that I got the special judge on July 7th, Mikhail Vaughn decided that he wanted to file a complaint against me, for the 2 signs. Let me go back over here because I'm just going to do the one from Russ. I'm going to do the whole video because then you won't ever forget it. Then I'll move on because I think this is important because it's setting up the stage for where I'm going with this story. So this is 2024. Russ Willis came out and was fighting with Catherine, and you'll see Mikhail Vaughn and Christy Grabowski are at this location. Okay.
You would think that he would have been out this morning to help us with this.
Okay, 50 feet's right here.
Okay, can you go diagonally too so we know which way to go?
Sure will.
Thank you.
First time I've ever had to do this.
Oh, okay.
I think we'll stay forward. I had some people call.
Oh, sure.
So that right there, what you hear, this right here is Mikkel Vaughn. I ran against him in the county council race for District 2. And this is elected official Christy Grabowski. And they both have the same red type shirt on in 2024 that they had on in 2026. So they look really similar in some of the video footage, but it's two separate times. And Russ Willis is no longer he's no longer on the Madison County Election Board. We now have Michelle Daniels, which you'll see in some of these videos here in a minute.
Oh, sure.
I think we're pretty safe for the chair, though. Make sure you got the royalty form, Catherine.
Oh, I got it rolling for you, Mr. Willis.
Okay, thank you.
Gardner was just out, so.
Right here, Ron.
Oh.
Taking the track. There's a crack here in the asphalt.
Probably should chalk it off.
It's okay.
Can we go that way too?
Moral of the story is this happened because everybody was fussing in 2024 too. And we just happened to find this clip after the fact. So you can go through and you can see that. So let's go back over here to, no, I want to move on to today. So we have two choices on the footage from today. We have our lovely favorite, and I'm just going to pop over here for a minute so you can see her stuff. Give her a shout out, Miss Rebecca Crooms. She's a Democrat, but she has been very good to me over the years. And she's the reason behind why a lot of us that got into recording these events locally, she's the reason why we started doing it, because it was before they made the rule that all meetings had to be recorded. So it started with her, and then Catherine got into it, and then I teamed up with them in the end of October 2023 into 2024, and then, you know, the rest is history. I think sometime in 2025 is when they changed it to where you have, like, they delete these reels. So it sucks because we lose a lot of good footage. But then, you know, we're learning about data centers, so it makes sense why they're deleting some of them, because if they were getting stored in these data centers, they're dumping these reels off of all of us influencers' pages because, you know, saving room for more footage, cat videos. Anyway, the only thing that happens, and I haven't got the microphones over to Rebecca, back to Rebecca yet. We just haven't got to touch base yet. So you can't really hear some of the stuff that they're saying. So a lot of times people have to come over to the Madison County live video. So if I'm not pushing something out for Madison County, then you can find, well, sometimes you can't find. But Madison County, Indiana uses this website called, I guess it's their own, it's the state, in.gov, Madison County, Indiana Gov, live public meetings. I already got the, well, I'll go ahead and go through the process. So you click on the link and it pulls all this up. So this is everything for Madison County. Every meeting that's held pretty much in the council chambers can be found here. And then you can also go down here and find a lot of their videos for each one of the departments in Madison County. So I'll tell you another good watch, if you want to look at some background for this story, is June 25th. That's when I stood in front of the Madison County Election Board last month for the $1,000 in campaign sign damages, and they dismissed that case. And then I had filed a complaint. Let me just, for record, you see this? I have all this that I don't have on Facebook because some of it's in still active other cases. So one day this information will get added publicly online. Maybe it won't, but some of it will. And I filed 3 complaints. Actually, on May 4th into May 5th, I filed 3 complaints. I filed one for electioneering Nicole Vaughn in the chute because he admitted to electioneering, and we got that on record. So, and before I start this clip, I want you to hear him so you can see how he behaved today. And then I filed the Nicole Vaughn electioneering, and then I filed the Baldridge and the David Albee stuff. David Albee was heard. They dismissed it. They told me they weren't going to do the Baldridge and electioneering complaint. We exchanged some words because I was upset by that point. That they were dismissing the cases, because if I would have done it, I feel like it would have gotten pushed on to the prosecuting attorney. So I feel jaded and violated on top of everything else that's happened. So for it to be heard, that's it. I'm going to show you the email. I got to figure out if I still have it open. So I specifically sent an email to Jeff this round. Go to my email. And I asked them yesterday, I asked them for the rules and the procedures for the election board hearing against me, Nicole versus Kapuscinski. And Jeff said they were only going to do today's meeting. Okay. So here that is, because this is going to be a topic of conversation here in a couple minutes. So can you see that? Yeah. Okay. So I asked them yesterday if, let's see. Here it is. So I said, okay. I forwarded it on to her, which I hadn't told him who my attorney was yet. And then I put a side note, will you guys be hearing the electioneering complaint as well? The information is relatively the same for both cases. I don't want to prepare for it and carry extra information if I don't have to. I can also send what I have to Heather to have her print it off for tomorrow if that's going to be the case. I have 7+ videos and 30+ photos, which I still have all that. And I'm going to explain how it all kind of like a wash, basically, is what happened today. So the case against me got dismissed, but they went ahead and listened to Nicole's electioneering complaint, or the one that I had against him, even though they told me they weren't going to. Right here it says the only complaint which will be heard is what is in the notice. Okay, actually, I can show you the notice. I forgot. So here's the notice. Okay, it tells you right here, via regular mail, certified mail, and electronic mail. And they do this to me often. So if any of you guys are dealing with, and I don't care about doxing myself, like that is my address, that's my email. Contact me. I don't care. The only thing it has on this is his name versus my name. they tend, the mad, and I used to get mad, and I figured this out, I think last month, that sometimes I get mad at Tim Lannon and Linda Smith thinking that they're participating and not notifying me, when sometimes it could be Jeff Graham. And I don't know for sure, but I know that supposedly today, and we're going to watch this video here in a minute, they let the electioneering hearing be heard today. So I was not prepared for that. And I didn't come because I was so sick to my stomach that just this experience it stresses me out. I didn't feel like getting sick to my stomach or having some type of stress seizure, yada, 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 just because. And then if they're going to punish me, you know, it's like, okay, how many times can a person get punished in 1 year for something stupid? I don't know, but it happens to me all the time. Okay. Let me see. Okay, that's for okay, I got one for 427, which I don't know if we'll get into 427. I gotta go down a little farther. That's what it is. I could play the whole thing. I call Mikhail Vaughn the sneaky snake. Okay, but when you hear me refer to him as a sneaky snake, this is why, because it reminds me of that one reel about the guy who has the snake hat on and he's like slithering around the screen. That's what Mikhail Vaughn reminds me of sometimes. And he thinks I'm fat and fluffy, so it's not like we're hurting each other's feelings. Well, yeah. Yeah, I tend to hurt his feelings more. And then he tries to get me in trouble, voter fraud Vaughn. And that's the other thing I get in trouble for, because I won't drop the fact that he got in trouble for voter fraud. They're the ones. Okay, let me go back one, because I use that as my screen. And then I booted it. So I'll just go ahead and pull the main. What's it? Here it is. Pull the main screen so you can see it. I used the anti-mailer that the Republican Party sent out against Vaughn last round. So, and it wasn't just Vaughn. They sent it out against Catherine and Mikhail Vaughn 24 hours before the 2024 election, where Catherine Callahan was running against Todd Culp for the auditor. So that's what I used for this one. And then, let me see. Christy got mad because I used her likeness and image. Well, don't hang out with turdy dirts and you wouldn't be caught in photos. So see here, right there, it's not in there. I had moved it. See, what happens is, how it gets the wash is nobody, the city election board, county election board, Madison County election board, admit that they didn't draw a line for the sheet. So they can't even go by like what, I don't even know. They can't, and supposedly they can't even use his admission. So it is what it is. So we win some and we lose some. But either way, we advance.
So, Mikhail, you just bring up those pictures with everybody there, and we'll show. I mean, you're saying that there's nothing I can do and that it's not a violation.
The point is, you and I don't care, but I'm just saying, be fair. Be honest.
I'm very fair.
You say I just worked cornered on you, that's a lie. My voter record is right there.
Yes, let's pull it out, because when we needed money, you didn't have it.
I did.
No, you said no.
I voted.
Absolutely, you said no. Go get it. You said no.
I have it.
Okay,
I've
we'll
got
pull
the
it out.
agenda.
Pull it
I
out.
think I didn't vote.
You did.
Fred got up and left.
That
This
wasn't
is
just that
November.
one.
You asked for 40-some thousand. Fred got left. I didn't do nothing. I didn't make a motion.
No, it was the one before that.
Hold on. I made a motion. I didn't make a motion because Fred left. I would have got a second.
And here's the other issue. Mikhail Vaughn waited until the end of the day to approach Catherine to kind of razz her after a lot of people were going home for the day. So he had no clue he was being recorded, but Indiana supposedly, allegedly, is a one-party state, so we thought we had something, but apparently they admit, the Madison County Election Board admits that they didn't have it marked, so it's a wash.
That's right there, Concord.
No, this is one that you actually voted. This is one that you actually voted on. And here's the thing: at the end of the day, I was absolutely correct because that coroner's office now gets $600,000 for their annual thing. But at the end of the day,
Control. They had the 4 votes. I fought for them.
no,
Yes, I did.
no, you didn't.
I'm on record
But
fighting.
at the end of the day, that's not
See,
the
that's
subject.
your opinion.
The subject right
Your
here
opinion
is
is law.
that's a violation. It's not my opinion. It's Indiana code.
You had 3 board members here.
I had 3 board members
Why
here.
didn't they mark it off?
Why didn't they mark it? Listen, I have no idea, Mikhail. But again, it doesn't matter if the board members. You, as a candidate, has to know the rules.
I'm saying they should mark it off.
You have to know the rules as a candidate, and you know that. They're not going to say, "Oh, well, you didn't know the rules." Now, you said to me, Catherine, there's nothing you can do. You can't do anything about it.
You can't. I mean, what are you going to do?
What am I going to do?
Talk to voters and win. That's not going to do anything.
Okay,
See, that's what I'm saying.
no. The rules need to apply to everybody.
And just for the record, Nicole won, and they had me removed. I feel illegally and what violates Constitution, and they, in my opinion and what I understand, once I got elected as an Indiana delegate, I became an elected official, and they pushed this other thing through very quickly to have me punished based on a false narrative and lies. Hence why I have 11 defamation cases coming up in August, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to beat him yet. And this is where we're at. So anyway, he admitted to it. So we ran with it. So what'd we do? We filed election complaints. I filed my election complaint on 5/4 to 5/5, which same day as primary voting. Okay. Mikhail Vaughn didn't file his complaint against me until what day was it? July 7th, the same day as a special judge. And so guess what they did? They expedited the hearing, and they had a hearing for Mikhail Vaughn against me today. And me and Catherine hired attorney Lorene White. Where's she at? Okay. She's back in here, I think. I think this is her. I don't recognize some of these people. I know Crooms. This is Herald Bulletin. I won't say who else some of these people are. They know who they are. I see 2 comments. So I'm going to go ahead and push play. And I might have to fast forward some stuff. And remember, I haven't listened to this. Okay, folks, I have not listened to this. I was too nervous to listen earlier. I had to wait for them to text me and tell me that I got the clear. Let's see. Oopsie kick. Oh. Karen. Yes, truth is powerful ammo unless you're me, and protected speech gets my protected speech gets trampled more than anybody. So there was some other stuff that happened during this meeting. That's it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and push play.
It was council members, the people decide. So all we do is just say, we'll put it on the ballot, and we'll make sure it's on the ballot for November election, correct?
Right. And then it's getting disenfranchised because you draw the lines or whatever you have to do.
If people are okay with that, then you have to the council to decide the particulars on that whole situation.
So do I have
So she understands the word disenfranchised when it applies to whatever they're talking about there, but I guess not when it applies to the 1,285 voters in Madison County that got disenfranchised when they booted me from the Indiana delegate spot. Good to know. Oh, and I guess she makes, I don't know if we'll see it, but yeah, maybe we will here in a minute. So Michelle got mad because somebody posted something about her hair on one of my reels. Okay. I wasn't even going to mention nothing about it, but somebody else mentioned it. And I guess they, Michelle says something about it in this video, but they always make it sound like I said something. Nicole said something that hurt my feelings. And I'm like, no, I know for sure it was some guy I didn't even know. He noticed that her hair looked like a rat's nest. I didn't point that out. Hey, Jerry, welcome to this fiasco. Yeah, I hurt their feelings a lot. So, Jerry, if you're just tuning in, this was the hearing they had today in Madison County against me because I said things that hurt their feelings, and then they tried to get me in trouble for a campaign sign. So anyway, it gets dismissed. But this is I'm doing a live react because I was too nervous to watch earlier because I was afraid they was going to try to slap me with a $5,000 fine and ignore what Mikhail was doing. But that's what we're watching. So here we go.
A motion to pass.
So I can make a motion that each one of these public questions be on the ballot, the November ballot, as they are presented today. Do you want me to read them?
Okay, I'm going to fast forward. If you want to know what those are,
Okay.
I can get
For
you
the Anderson
screenshots.
Community School Corporation, the language reads,
Okay.
operating referendum, the language would read, property tax rate.
It's a referendum about property taxes possibly getting raised in Elwood. So if you're in Elwood, Indiana, you might want to look into this. I think Rebecca Crooms posted on her page. I'll post the screenshots on my page, but nonetheless, they did pass that.
See if, yes, we're gonna have, Mikhail Vaughn.
Here goes.
Oh, okay. Could you please come up and speak to?
I promised a live react.
7726, regarding the campaign signs within 50 feet of the street first.
Now, if
And
I
then we have another complaint regarding, interference at the voting site.
that was dismissed because I had nothing to do with what they said it did. The second one, which that's the predator in a pulpit, the pedophile was talking about, the pedophile comment I made on a live video, that's what they tried to file the other complaint on me for. So I literally got in trouble for saying something about the pedophiles in their pews are more concerned than my one campaign sign. And I got punished for it. And they tried to ban me from the poll, just so everybody knows. And I might have to walk away from this because it gets me all fired up.
Go ahead, and what we need to do first, is have us swear you.
Just for clarification, just on Mr. Bond's complaint against Nicole.
Right.
Anyone that may testify in this could agree to again the evidence.
We do this individually or?
Just all at the same time.
All at the same time.
Someone that may testify in Mr. Bond's complaint. You swear to the penalties of perjury that the testimony will be true.
I do.
Rick Gardner's looking for me. He's the guy in the red. No, my attorney's there, Rick.
Is he, Mr. Chair, is he testifying as to both of the complaints?
He has two complaints here.
Okay. How does it
Let me
complaints?
clarify that. My recommendation is more on the second complaint with regard to inflammatory statement. My recommendation is that complaint be dismissed summarily without hearing. That is effectively a slander against an organization rather than an election.
There's actually a statute, Mr. Green.
Okay. Slander against an organization. They banned me yesterday, by the way, because I said I could prove who the pedophile was, and I can prove who the victim was, and it's not who they think it was. And so then I learned that in 2024, that particular church had a church split. Okay. The United Methodist Church and the Global Methodist Church. Either way, it was something about LGBTQ. So what they did was they tried to say I slandered them because I made a comment about a pedophile in a pew. And what they did was wind up slandering me and telling everybody that I was the enemy of the body of Christ. So you can say it's slander against a church organization or an organization, but I went ahead and looked up that pedophile's arrest record, and it was a Class B felony. He was arrested on my birthday, May 25th in 2006, and that's what it is. And it's not the Democrat you guys thought I was referencing if you thought of that one first, even though he's connected to the Steve Sumner victim's mom. I wasn't talking about that one. And so I did learn that they had a split. So the church that I'm dealing with now is the ones that believes it's okay to have LGBTQ clergy, which I'm not getting into the philosophical debate about all that. That's not what I wanted to bring that up for. But just because they weren't there when the stuff went down and they may not know what I'm referencing doesn't mean that it didn't happen. And all it took was 3.5 seconds to reach out to me like a supposed church pastor, leadership, or anything. And we could have squared that away in 3.5 seconds and moved on. But what they decided to do was post about it on Facebook, send Mr. Vaughn over here to file a complaint, and oh, I do have it. Okay, I do have it, guys. I do have it because it got sent to me, not by Jeff Graham, okay? Not by this guy. This is what he sent me. Let me see. Okay, that was July 14th, 7 days after it was filed. And then the only picture that it had, and this is what confuses too, because this says second. And then it says that I placed 2 signs. I didn't place 2 signs. Volunteers placed signs. And 1 sign was mine. And there was other signs in the same location, but none of them got a hearing. And then he tried to get me slapped with that right there. So the other one, okay, now there. This is the other thing that makes me mad. They always do stuff and make all the stuff go upside down. I mean, it takes 3.5 seconds to put it in right. But that's what they sent me. And nothing had anything to do with this other hearing that they brought up. Now, they tried to start something with me. So I'm going to go ahead and show what they did. And then they get mad at me and try to file. But they don't file it. They have Nicole Vaughn file it. Let me see. That's the one. Oh, okay. And then I did the video because I was frustrated and I went across the street from the actual polling location before I started recording because I wanted to say some stuff before I went live because I knew once I got over to the church it was going to be like 3.5 seconds and they were going to be yelling at me and doing all kinds of stuff. And then they sure did. They were yelling at me that well, Nicole Vaughn was. Some of these names that you see right there did not show up. So the only name that showed up as witness was Christy Grabowski, the elected official. And so basically it was in that video across the street from the church that I said something about pedophiles. And then it was in an email. I said something about the pedophile. Wait, here's the post. said something about the pedophile in the pews. So then they get on here, like, to me, same day, April 27th, and this is after I'd already found out I had about $1,000 worth of campaign sign damages, okay? And instead of talking, they slap me with the scripture, and that Christ loved all and gave his life for all. And that is true. But it also says it would be better for someone to have a millstone tied around their neck than to touch the head of a hair of a child and thrown into a sea. So, I mean, there's a lot of scripture. You can go back and forth on that all day long. And then they called me a squeaky wheel of the enemy who wishes to smear the work we are doing in the kindness of our church. Now, I don't know about you guys. I didn't feel kindness. I'd already had our campaign gear had already been smashed by this point. So that was like 48 to 72 hours later after I'd had enough with them. So that's what that was. So back to here.
This is not an election law violation. Could this be a civil action with regard to some kind of effect on business or slander or something like that? Perhaps, but it's not the purview of this board. So that hearing was not noticed for today. The only hearing that's noticed for today, based on Mr. Wan's complaint, is the one against Ms. Kapuzinski. The one with the electioneering, which is clearly within our purview. The other one is far outside this board purview and was not noticed. If you would like to have that for a hearing, I'm certainly willing to notice it, but my request would be, or my recommendation would be on that one to be dismissed.
All right. I'm inclined to agree with what the council, I guess. There is a statute with this, Mr. Graham. There's a civil and could be criminal. And I apologize, I didn't submit a statute because consulting with my attorney, there is a statute. Everybody looked it up and confirmed with another. And I understand we have election. To my understanding, that there is a civil and a criminal with the statute. And I have it here today. Would you like me to give
Say
that
it
to
out
you?
loud, Nicole.
Well, decide jurisdiction over that statute.
Over the election part, yes.
Look at him. He has that smirk on his
And I
face.
asked Valerie Warchop. Valerie was the attorney for the Republican in the Indiana division. In the state of Indiana, we have a Republican attorney and a Democratic attorney to answer your questions when you call. Valerie was there for 5.5 years. She recently left a few months ago. That's because we talked to her on the phone quite often. I asked her if you weren't going to be here to attend. And I wondered if there was any case law. I understand what you're saying, Jeff, but interference, to me, it's kind of a broad term. And I thought maybe you would hear it and then take it under advisement if she wanted to see if there was anything regarding case law. Valerie, tell me what you said.
I agree with your counsel. There is no case law. This is relatively new statute. It's only been passed in the last 2 years by the General Assembly as far as interference with an election. So there's no one has tested the statute.
Thank you, Valerie.
So do you think that we should not hear it or hear it and take it under advisement?
I agree with your counsel, but it's not really an election law issue. It would be better.
Okay, folks. So why is this woman, okay, wanting to hear about a child molester, or even this case about me saying something about a child molester that I'm related to? And why is she trying to stress that to be read in front of this mass? What does that have to do with elections? And then let's go back to the handy dandy Facebook reels everybody likes to pick at. You can go in here, go down to the election. Okay, so he admits here, let me see. David Albee, and I'm not going to play this all the way, but he admits to running over the campaign election signs. And then he ends his statement with, closing statement compares 1 or 2 pedophiles to 1 or 2 veterans. This is after he compares veterans to pedophiles, and then he caused upwards of $1,000 in sign damage, which they want to say that's not, it wasn't that much in sign damage. I beg to differ. And trying to figure out which one it was on. Then they said they weren't going to do the they weren't even going to do it, and then there they are discussing it in front of everybody. So I mean, whatever, at least she sided with me. Listen to
the part about the pedophile, to my knowledge and our pastor's knowledge, who's been there since September, none of that is true.
With my cousin.
And so the pastor, I think, had a conversation for the record that with Tim about not being a polling place next year because of that. But we talked her down off the ledge. And we still, the other thing I think is important to know that if I understand the vote calculations at the end of every election, we've been number 1 or 2 to the courthouse. Because it's a nice place to stop. You just run on out north, go home, to LA, wherever.
Okay, that's not my point. It may be a nice place to stop, but when you are tearing up people's campaign sign materials, I'm poor. I don't know about everybody else. Catherine had enough money where she could buy more. I didn't. So, and this had, I'd already kind of wiped some of these off, but when I go to try to get the fronts of these off, like this one, you can still see it's kind of got the grass caked on it. The paint started coming off of some of them, and that's when I started getting upset, because I realized at that moment I don't have enough time. I didn't have $500 to go throw down on some more signs. Catherine did. I didn't. Okay, that was a good one. So I'm not gonna play that sound because that's kind of loud. But yeah, so I washed them off, and then some of them, the white was getting stained. Some of them, the paint was coming off. So you get my drift. So Madison County Election Board dismisses my campaign signs. They dismissed that. And so that was on Saturday. Let's go back, since they're already here and she's trying to push. This is the other reason they shouldn't have been, okay. This is Michelle Daniels.
That's what she was saying.
Yeah, it's a violation. Zoom in on that. It's a violation.
Oh, yeah. Where's your goal? You know, I probably didn't come out of it because they're looking at the gym. Really? Yeah. Show us where you're at.
She heads in. Okay, okay. Here's, this is Catherine.
You know what I'm most amazed at in 2020? Michelle Daniels told me what a piece of shit Vaughn was. Now she's over there rubbing elbows with them. That just tells you what kind of person that is. You want me to keep recording? Absolutely. I want you to walk upon them. She's in violation just as much as they are, and she's the president of the election board. Absolutely. She's not, they should not be 50 feet, and here she is promoting that they're all 50 feet from there. No.
Tim came and made us move. Okay. So point being, there's that. Something else. Okay. So she comes, she goes. This is Michelle Daniels. Walking away, leaving everybody there. So I guess it just depends on who you know. You get her leaving.
And she's just so knowledgeable and everything. She's knowledgeable about your property taxes. Yeah. Bye. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Then she stops to talk to the sheriff candidate. Hold on, I thought this was funny.
Oh, bye, Michelle. Oh, she's gone. And there's Mikkel again. Looky there. Say hi, Mikkel.
Okay, there's that. But let's see, it was something she did. Oh yeah. Okay, so that Monday, and I'm just gonna show this clip and then I'll go back to the other one. That Monday. Okay, it's on my YouTube channel. I gotta go to one of the channels. And for those that don't know, that are just tuning in, I have so many. So just in case they get me on one, I can go switch over. And I hear that Witty, indie reporter, has to do that a lot too. So he feels my pain. But I have to spread all this stuff out on so many different channels so that they don't get me. Okay. That one's not it. So basically there's one right in here. This might just be her song. Okay, that's just her song. I'm gonna pull this long one and then I'm just gonna clip it because it's a 16-minute clip and I'm really disappointed in the clip. And they actually take the clip and say that I was oh wait, is that it? Okay, this is it. This is a shortened clip. Here it is. So it kind of tells you the backdrop. I think I spelled Christy's name wrong. Yep. So by this point, they go back and they clip me because I had to pick up my American flags. I had to pick up my campaign signs, and I wasn't prepared to pick them up on the 27th because we were in the middle of trying to place them all over the county again, because we placed them for the early satellite stations on Friday into Saturday. Then we had to pull them from all the churches in Madison County that were polling sites and then replace them again Sunday night. And we had people going down left and right. People weren't feeling good. Just stuff. On top of, there were some storms right through there, and we had to keep going back up to one sign in Elwood and fixing it. So we just had all kinds of stuff we were dealing with. So by this point in the day, it was already the afternoon. I'm 16 minutes in. I've been harassed. This is like the 7th story they give me on top of the one they posted on their the church posted on the Facebook page. And on Monday in this clip, it's going to be Christy Grabowski giggling at Mikkel Vaughn, which she's supposed to be another veteran. So why she's up there provoking me or letting him treat me that way, and I voted for her, by the way. I voted for her because she said she was a veteran and she's constitutionally minded. In my opinion, she's not constitutionally minded, because if I'm sitting there and, I'm hanging out with a group of people and I see a veteran in distress, or I see one of those people picking on another veteran, regardless of the situation, I'm going to tell them to leave them alone. And me and my friend, even if it's an elected official or another candidate, are going to have a conversation about not being mean to veterans like that, or just having an adult conversation. So there's some questions over here. Let me see what this is. So did they actually mark the chute like they said? Now, I don't know if they did eventually, but after this clip here, and you're going to see Mikkel's yelling something at me. I can't walk close to him at this point because I'm in soldier mode. I'm getting what I felt like harassed. And I'm not being the harasser. I did my live video across the way, and I'm recording this right here because if I didn't record it, no one would believe me. And then as he's yelling the Indiana code at me, he doesn't realize I've already spoken to Tim Lannon several times on that Monday. Tim and the election room both told me not to worry about it. They would take care of it. And then I get here, and I'd have to look at the actual timestamp. It's on my phone. I'll do that another day. And it's 8:15, so I got a few more minutes, and I'm just gonna have to go. And I don't know if I can actually watch the full video on live, because as I'm sitting here, I'm getting really mad, and it just makes me not like Nicole even more. So anyway, he's yelling at me. I'm asking him for the code. He can't quote the Indiana code that he's yelling at me, and he's standing in front of the chute that's not marked. At least not on that Monday. And then Michelle Daniels comes into play. She's yelling at me from next to the chute, which is like 50 feet from the door that's wide open because it was kind of warm. So voters coming in and out, or the poll workers, could hear them yelling at me from there. And then they send out 2 poll workers to speak to me. And I remind all of them we're on, like candid camera, I'm recording. And yeah, it's like, it's different when you talk about, when I'm watching other people's stuff, but when it's something to do with me, okay, we just had something pop up on mouthwash. So, I don't know. I'm still recording though, and I'm still on the other ones. So hopefully people come back. All right, I'm still on the mouthwash YouTube, so hopefully we didn't lose too many people. Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and push play. Michelle Daniels coming out, say something to me. Come on, look at him. There's your elected official right there, Christy Grabowski. So here you go. That handed out pamphlets that lied to her constituents about being a woman of God, hanging out with elephants. Oh Lord, hurt my feelings. Hurt my feelings. No, I'm not. Okay, Nicole, I've already talked to the election board today. Don't talk to me. Okay, Michelle, you want to come tell me? Michelle Daniels, come on. Let's have an interview. I can't hear you. Let's have an interview. I've already talked to Linda, and I've already talked to Tim Lannon. Yeah, I talked to the Madison County Election Board already, and they said my signs were okay. You gotta come down for what?
That's the ones that they're worried about.
Okay.
So the ones over here on this hill and over there on that hill.
I've already removed those from the road. Okay, so then you guys do realize that every polling place, even the churches, have allowed us to sit them out by the road, right?
What we got told is that they don't want them by the road because they don't want anybody thinking that this specific church is endorsing someone over anybody else. That is what they want.
It's an election. Okay, so then we're going to file a complaint against the church about the harassment that I received from one of your elders this morning, and I have the screenshots and the messages to go with it, plus 3 months worth. So you can make up your stuff, make up whatever you're trying to tell me. I'm going to go ahead and go call Tim Lannon and find out what he has to say. Thank you. I did go call Tim Lannon. So later on, that's when that that's when that thing was posted. I just showed you what they said, calling me the enemy of the body of Christ, which I'm a little offended by that. I didn't know that standing up for kids and being mad about my campaign signs being destroyed was all of a sudden made me an enemy of anybody. But now I can strongly agree with the statements of separation of church and state, and I've really been looking at that this week, about what it really means to separate church and state, and then why it's important that if you're going to elect an official or, you know, vote for a candidate based on their religious preferences, that you should find out what their doctrines are, what churches they go to. Well, yeah, Karen, so it's an old school terminology. So, right, I'm going to let this go a few more minutes. It doesn't look like I'm getting back on the mouthwash Facebook, but it could be the duration. I don't know, but you can find it on my personal page. It's still going to be on their YouTube, and then I'll have a copy on HeadzUP in my personal Nicole page if something happens. What do you call it? They've been getting me for disclaimers on certain things, but all the stuff I'm using tonight shouldn't have any disclaimers because it's all my footage. So, okay, here's this one.
I agree with that too. It wasn't notes for me.
I thought it was.
So I think we should have comments to the other. And Mr. Vaughn is entitled to action on the complaint, even if it's just for the publicity to vote.
Just my understanding, Mr. Graham, that from my attorney and the one he checked with, the election board attorney, that there could be, this is a new statute, his understanding too, and there could be a civil and a criminal matter, how it, you know, how different cases can be adjudicated through different judges can say, but there is no case law, right? Because it's a new statute. So would you like me to give, or do we want a hearing on that? I mean,
both counsel here, this is not within the purview of the election. I mean, I know what you're alleging here, and you're complaining about some actions that occurred that I don't think it rises to the level of an election law complaint, election law violation, in my opinion.
there's different, I just got advised that there could be both on this.
We're getting advice from two attorneys that it's not.
Well, then you should have brought your attorney.
Okay.
So with that being said, I would move to dismiss the complaint filed by Nicole Vaughn. It's relative to the cross street Payless parking lot location. I guess I'll identify it that way.
They dismissed.
I got a phone call yesterday from the pastor of the church.
Oh, yeah.
She wanted to be here today, and she.
No, okay, what they're getting ready to talk about is, okay, so it is a she, and they posted, let me go back to this. There you go. They posted that. And so it was sent to me on Monday, and I responded to her. So this tells me that they helped Mikkel write that complaint to file against me, okay, because they knew that this hearing was today. Now, mind you, I didn't get a notification for the electioneering hearing or anything else other than the one for the one sign in the planter. Nobody told me that the pastor called. Well, pastor. Yeah, enemy. No. It gets better. Read the rest of it. We will deal with those who choose to come against the body of Christ in an appropriate manner. Okay? Sending Mikkel Vaughn to file an election complaint against me for stating something that was true that you didn't like after one of your volunteers broke $1,000 worth of campaign signs because he was mad of where we put them is not kindness. And for a bunch of people that don't want to be judged, you sure did put a bunch of judgment on me without even calling me. I thought that's what adults were supposed to do, but I guess Madison County's got some issues. Now I lost the screen. Okay. I can't listen to that. What's the minute marker? 18:37. I'm gonna have to come back to this one. Because I told her we could go to court. That's what I told her. Okay. No, forget that. Let's go.
The actual meeting, because she was upset, and she had stated that she didn't think that they were going to have crossroads at the voting site from here on out. And she wanted to be here to speak to some things. And I said, well, since she can't be here, she goes, well, can I still speak? And I said, I suppose if you're going to put a complaint of some sort, she's going to talk to their attorney. They have an attorney at the church there. Because we really do, we want that to be a voting site because more people vote there outside of this building than any place in the county. So to lose that site because of this,
mind
you,
volunteer damaged $1,000 in campaign signs. And they're madder at me over a pedophile comment than they are about the damages, and none of them have tried to help me get it cleared up.
The church and this person, but I would say that we're not here today. I'm going to hear the pastor can come in, and I think if you talk to the attorney, I don't know who your attorney is, but if he feels that we did have a situation where this could be interference, to have him maybe contact you, Jeff, maybe you guys, I don't know how that happened. If he contact you, his attorney, and say, okay. And maybe there'll be a different route to take as far as getting this cleaned up. Because the way I read yours, your concern was that, you didn't want it's a voting site, and to have people yelling these things out at the voting site is a little intimidating.
Okay. Nicole did not yell things at the voting site. Did I even get to finish that one? Yeah, I did. Nicole didn't yell anything. Mikhail was the one that was yelling. So here, Michelle Daniels is trying to act like my pedophile comments. And I even sent an email this week about that, not forcing me to say a name in that room. I understand they're a different church. Okay, you know how much easier it would have been if they would have just contacted me and said, hey, you know what? We're a new bunch of people. We're a new church. You know, no, they didn't do that. They went straight for my gizzard. They went straight for, I'm an enemy. People need to avoid me. And now here, after being dismissed, they're going to try to bring that up. Now, notice that he didn't mention what Indiana code it is. Because they're all, I mean, that brings up everything that he was doing in front of their building. I just want everybody to realize that if Crossroads Global Methodist Church comes after me for whatever I said in a different parking lot in regards to something that did happen, or even when I was being forced to remove my signs because it didn't have anything to do, there was no Indiana code campaign sign laws that say that we can't put them where we put them. They're the only sign or the only law that we may have violated, the volunteer may have violated, they tried to punish me for, which, okay, whatever, but they didn't punish the other two people that had the signs. So if they're really that concerned about my sign in the shoot, then, or just my comments that they didn't like, this is getting to get interesting. Okay.
If I may say something, this is Linda. It's getting harder to get points. I think, Kim, you agree. I think we'll certainly agree to get voting locations. So I wasn't pursuing a criminal charge. I'm saying that when I heard that they didn't want to be a voting center, I was real concerned about that because it was only one person. It was all over signs and it could have been avoided. And you try to respect your points. I can. I think you agree. I like the board agree. And now her being new since January, she didn't want to be a polling location. And this is where I kind of get argumentative over, I'm an attorney, got to abide by the.
Wait. He just said something there. He said that she was new and had only been there since January. That's not what David Albee said. She had been there since September of last year. So that means that the original guy that was there has already left.
This is an election issue. If we're going to lose the polling cycle, this is where I understand what the attorneys are saying. There's no election, but this is an election issue. If we lose the polling cycle, how does this not?
I agree it's an election issue, but it's an election issue between the board and the church for us to work out. Regarding this, it doesn't rise to the level of an election, in my opinion, an election violation that we have jurisdiction over the state. I think it's a complaint of the state. So yes, it's a serious matter. We don't want to lose that public side. I had to make some calls at the time this all happened, try to smooth it over. I'm well aware of the situation.
Right.
And it should never happen, and it did, but, you know, that's for us to work out at this point in time. Take further time.
I understand.
Doing this, I don't think that's needed.
I just want to publicly state why I filed a complaint. I didn't want to lose the polling place. And I felt like if we did something, the election board did something, made it pass her, would change her.
Okay, here's the other thing. If you don't want to lose a polling place, Mikkel Vaughn, then don't get in front of the polling place and yell. You were yelling at me, which invoked a response. It's on camera that him and Michelle both, Michelle's standing close to the chute, yelling at me about campaign violations. Neither of them could quote a rule, nor does a rule exist, nor is there a county sign law that says that I can't have more than 2 signs. And by Monday, what they're arguing with me about on Monday had nothing to do with this complaint that they're talking about here on Monday. They were mad because David Albee thought he ruined all of our signs. Okay. Little did he know that Catherine and I had planned to put signs at these polling locations. So we had more signs. And so when they woke up on Monday morning to see that more signs had been placed in the same exact location where they had been Saturday, and they weren't the damaged signs, we had crisp signs to roll out. That's what made David Albee mad. And I do have. Okay, I'm gonna end on that because I'm starting to get kind of frustrated with the whole ordeal myself. It did get dismissed. Tim Lannon made some good points. They do vote on it. If you want to watch the end of it, you can. It's there for people to see. Let me see here. Here's some more of them. That's one of my signs that got damaged. That's one of my signs. That's one of Callahan's signs that got damaged. David Albee flung rocks at our signs that it put holes in some of them. That's what I was talking about when the paint was peeling. This is what I was looking for. Okay. Here is the questionnaire. So you got to go back and look at the 625 hearing if you really want to go into something. But even here, please comment on any special instructions or security concerns we would advise vote center workers about your building. It's blank. So I had 7 different things given to me. Where does it say? Oh, and it's crucial that no planned construction or road work be done on election day on or around the polling site. Keeping it easy access to voters is highly important. So, I don't know. But I think getting me punished for 10 years, having me removed as an Indiana delegate, that's up there with some shady stuff. Admitting to electioneering, but at the end of the day, it's a wash. It got dismissed. And then Jeff Graham swore up and down they weren't going to do the electioneering hearing today, and then they did the electioneering hearing and dismissed it too. But there was no point to push it. So you can clearly see that the chute was not marked. There are no markings anywhere in here, so it would be like whatever. You can't prove it. It just be an uphill battle. So I got other battles to fight. But yeah, so the pedophile that I was referencing in the videos, it does not matter if they get charged because, or not charged because of a statutes limitations. Okay, sometimes these people do things. Sometimes they do things and they don't get caught until the person or the person gets to a sound age where they can actually file or, you know, like even complain. And then what happened with Steve Sumner's victim's mom was, I don't want to say too much because I don't want her to see my video and get mad. It hit close to home, and they tried to make her look like an idiot. They tried to pose her as the problem. They tried to make it look like she was the liar. They tried to do everything under the sun to not get charged with the pedophilia. And so I find it highly interesting that the topic for tonight was going to be something about Steve Sumner and politics and platforms and pulpits and prison. And then this topic went right down the line of pedophiles and pulpits and political platforms. And now one of them's getting ready to go to prison. The other one got away with it. He claims he doesn't remember the number 2. I guess it'd be number 1. Then my cousin would have been number 2. However you want to look at it. But the other guy doesn't remember doing any of it because he was a atheist, alcoholic, drug addict with political family as well. Steve Sumner knew the other guy and knew that his victims were the children of the other lady who was molested as a child. And he's now been caught. So Steve Sumner is going to be spending a lot of time in prison. And then I think there's another, well, it's a different church, but there's a lot, for some reason in Madison County, not only do we have a high number of pedophiles, but we also have a high number of pedophiles that like to hang out in churches. So it would behoove everyone to pay attention to their surroundings if they come anywhere in Madison County churches. If you're not sure about the history of the place, get a hold of me. I'll help you look into it because it's that important to me that people survive their surroundings and that you don't set your children up for failure. Because ultimately, that's just, you know, little kids don't need to be misled. And it's really hard when it's your parent that introduces you to someone who doesn't have your best interest in line. Not saying that particular church, just saying that anywhere you go nowadays, you got to be really, you know, careful who you're rubbing elbows with. I don't know why. I don't know if it's, you know, no, because most of it happened before the pandemic. So you can't say that it's the pandemic's fault for some of this stuff we go through as a community, as a county, as a state, really, because it's not just affecting our county. It affects a lot of different counties. I have people reaching out to us all the time. And I was trying to go to my little video to sign out on. I can't seem to find it. So sorry about that. And I think I find it right here as I'm getting ready to sign off. It's okay. I'm going to do my outro, and for anybody interested, that's it that I have today. I have all these links. If you want to look at stuff, you can go look at it. I'll be back on Saturday at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And we're going to be talking about some pretty interesting stuff with the Israel merger, military stuff. I don't know all the stuff we'll get into Saturday, but I do know that for the first time in my adult years, or at least since the pandemic, that a lot of people that I never would have thought would be asking questions about life and the pursuit of happiness are now starting to question everything we've been taught. And so a lot of people are coming to, they're waking up to just the reality of the world we live in and how important it is to start figuring stuff out. So keep tuning back if you're one of them. And if you want any of the links, just get a hold of me, because now I got to get off here and go sulk for a minute and figure out what to do next. All right, guys. Shalom.
Turn the mic up, let the whole town know. Truth hits hard when the headlines go. From the courthouse steps to the waterline, we follow the paper and expose the signs. Burning bridges, lighting up the night, toxic water, but we still stand and fight. Local, state, and the national map. Say her name loud. Nicole in all caps. Raw and unfiltered, reality uncut. Digging through the stories they tried to shut up. Speaking truth, demanding facts. Once the fire stops, there's no turning back. Nicole in all caps. Live every Thursday night. Nicole in all caps. Bringing every issue to light.